Guys, so we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna spend 3 days on this lesson. It's kind of a tougher lesson. And then, did you guys all see I graded your quizzes from over the weekend that you took on Friday? And then I think you all know that I'm going to be gone starting next week, Tuesday. So I'm here all this week and Monday. So I was trying to figure out a way to teach the least amount while I was gone. And somebody erased our quiz here for some reason. But so anyway, this is kind of what I came up with. So this lesson is 3 days. Normally I'd probably give you a quiz after that, but I'm trying to kind of teach while I'm here. So then 9-1 of the next chapter is not too bad. So I was going to add these two because I'm here Thursday, Friday, and then give a quiz on these 3 sections. Monday, I'd come up with some kind of review. Tuesday is a practice quiz. So this would be our first day gone, my first day gone. Wednesday quiz, Thursday, Friday movie, and then that Monday would be my last day gone. And that I will have to check if I have a video for it, and if I do, I'd show that. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm tentatively planning. So when I'm gone, you'll have a practice quiz, movie for 2 days, and a lesson for 1. Okay. All right. So today, as I said, it's going to be important that you're kind of writing down how. Let me grab my notes from this. I would be practicing how to put this into your note or into your calculator because it is kind of, what's that? Yeah. All right. So last week we learned something called law of sines. And law of sines is one way to find missing sides and missing angles in a triangle. There's another law, it's called law of cosines, that we're going to be starting today. And there's 2 times that you can use law of cosines. Law of cosines you can use if you either know a side, angle, side, where the angle is right in between the 2 sides. That's one time you can use law of sines or cosines. And the other time is when you have the 3 sides of a triangle, which would be like when we learned this back in chapter 4 when we did congruent triangles. It was side, side, side. So both of those things. On your cheat sheet, if you want to add this, to find sides, you might want to put underneath there. That's when we have side, angle, side, that we use these formulas. And then when we have the 3 sides, that's when we use these formulas. Today, we are going to work just with side, angle, side problems. Tomorrow, we will work with this. Okay? So if we look here, last week when we did law of sines, it did not matter what order we found things in. So if you had to find side A and side B, you could do that in either order, okay? With law of cosines, it does matter what order you do it in. So today we are going to be dealing with the side angle side triangle. So to just give you an example of what today could look like, you might know this is 10, this angle right here is 20, this side right here is 15, this is A, B, C, this is little a, this is little b, this is little c, okay? So that's what today's will look like. And we would have to find little a, we'd have to find the measure of angle B, as well as the measure of angle C. And when we do that, it does matter what order you do it in. And what it tells us here is you're first going to use law of cosines to find the third side. So that's what we'll do first, and I'll show you how to do that. Then what's going to happen is we're going to go back to what we did last week, and we're going to use law of sines, but you have to find the smaller of these two angles first. How do you know which one is smaller? There's a rule in geometry that the smallest angles are opposite the smallest sides. So do you see how angle C is across from a side that's 10 and angle B is across from a side that's 15? You want to find the smaller of those two first, which would be 10 is less than 15, so you find angle C before you find angle B. That's super important. And the reason is sometimes, I don't even want to go into the reason, just because it's kind of confusing, but you just have to follow these rules, okay? Then last week we talked about these were the two situations we used when we were doing law of sines. And what that would look like, angle, side, was you might know this is 10, this is 15, this is 20, so it's an angle, no, I'm lying. Angle, side would be angle, and you might know that side, okay? For this one, angle, side, angle would be what I originally drew. Something like this, angle, side, angle. With law of cosines, you might know this is 7, this is a 20-degree angle, this is 15. Side, angle, side. And what we're learning tomorrow is really easy. You would just be given, not that it's easy to do, but it's easy to recognize because you would be given the 3 sides. Okay, something like that. Tomorrow, we will also talk about when you solve something that has 3 sides, you also have to go in a specific order. So that's one thing that can be a little bit tough, is if you don't follow the steps on that cheat sheet, there's times you wouldn't get the correct answer. Okay? So if we look at this, all right, notice that this is a side, this is an angle, this is a side. So this is a side angle side problem, okay? And we always want to write down what it is that we still need to find. We need to find little c, and I should have labeled like little a is across from the A, little b is across from angle B, okay? We also need to find the measure of angle A as well as the measure of angle B. Okay. So now this is side angle side, and you guys have these rules right here on your cheat sheet. Okay. So when you're doing something that requires law of sines, you're going to want to look at these rules. And what it tells us is to use the law of cosines to find our third side. So our third side is going to be little c, and they're wanting us to use law of cosines. So you also have this on your cheat sheet right here. And we are going to be using the side angle side part, and we want to find little c, so we're using this formula right here. It looks harder than it is to do, I promise. So let's go back and just copy that down onto our page here. So we're looking for c squared, and that is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of angle c. Okay, that is our law of cosines formula when we're looking for little c. Now I'm going to go in and substitute in what I know. I know little a is 8. I know little b is 13. A is 8. B is 13. And then it's cosine of angle C, which is 64. Okay? Now, here's what we are going to do. We are going to go to our graphing calculator, and we're going to type this in exactly how it looks. Okay? But keep in mind, what we're getting when we do that is really C squared. Okay? So let's go to our calculators, and let's type that in. So it was 8 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 8 times 13. And then you could go times cosine or just do cosine, either way. And it was cosine of 64. Okay? And hit enter. And did you guys get 141.81? Okay? Which if we rounded to 2 decimals would be 141.82. Okay? So I'm going to go back and just write that in here, 141.82. Now, that is C squared. We want C. So what would I do? Square root. Now, one thing I'm going to be showing you guys today is a way to get the most accurate answers on your calculator. Okay? We want to take the square root of that, and I'm not sure if I've shown you this yet, but this answer right here is stored in your calculator as an answer. Okay? And if you go down, we want to take the square root of that. If we go second and hit our x squared so we get the square root, instead of retyping this, you can pull that whole answer down by going second, and do you see above this negative, there's an S right there? That stands for answer. And what that did is it just pulled that down, and you're going to get the most accurate answer then. And then hit enter, and this is 11.91. That is our C. Okay? So back here, 11.91 is our C. Now, the next thing, oh, I should have put that up here too. Now, I know my C. I need to find angle A and angle B. And if I look back at the rules, it says find the smallest of the two angles that are left using law of sines. Now, to find out which one is the smallest, notice that angle A is across from a side that's 8. Angle B is across from a side that's 13. The rule that I was mentioning earlier, the smaller side, or I'm sorry, smaller angle is going to be opposite the smaller side. You know how 8 is less than 13? That means you want to find A next, because A is across from a side that's smaller than what angle B is across from. Now, if you remember what law of sines was, law of sines from last week, we needed to know an angle and its opposite side. And we know angle C and little c. So that's one thing I'm going to use. Sine of C over little c. And then I either need to find angle A or I need to find B. And we talked about how A is across from a smaller side. So I'm going to do sine of A over little a. Okay. Now if I punch in or kind of substitute in what I know, angle C is 64, little c is 11.91, sine of A is sine of, that's what I'm looking for, and little a is my 8. Okay. Now this is something similar to what we did last week, where we're going to do cross products, and we would get 8 times sine of 64 equals 11.91 times sine of A. Okay? I want to solve for angle A, and right now this is multiplied by the 11.91. How would I get rid of the 11.91 then? Divide by 11.91. Okay. Then these are gone, and on this side we have sine of A. Okay. We need to go in to our calculators and type this in. Do you remember what it's really important to do after this? Enter. Yes. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to our calculators and we're going to type in 8 sine of 64 enter divided by 11.9. But that is not our answer yet. That is just sine of A. So let's go and type that in. And it's 8 sine of 64 enter divided by 11.91. Now we're looking for an angle, and hopefully you guys wouldn't think this is a good answer for an angle. This is sine of that angle. Do you guys remember what to do then to get the angle? Yes. So do you guys all agree that if this is our sine of A, which I could go back and write here, it's like 0.6037. Do you remember when you're looking for the angle, you do second sine of this? Okay, so what we're going to do is we basically have to go second sine of our answer. Now to get, again, the most accurate answer, if you do this, if you go second sine, and if we pull this whole thing down, how we do that is we go second answer right there. So second sine, second back, enter, and this would be our answer, 37.14. Okay, so if we go back here, the measure of angle A is 37.14 degrees. That goes right here. And now I know what this is. Now, if you know 2 angles of a triangle, could I find the third? How would I do that? Yes, I would add these 2 together and subtract from 180. So 64 plus 37.14 is 101.14. And then if I take that 101.14 and I subtract it from 180, I get 78.86. And that is the measure of angle B, I believe. Yes. Is 78.86. Okay. So this is our answer. Okay. Now, if we go to the next page, we're going to do one more like this, and then we'll be done for today. Okay. So if you guys look at this, hopefully you realize again that we have a side angle side problem, okay, which is law of cosine. And then I'm going to just write up here what we're looking for. We are looking for little c again. And then we're looking for the measure of angle A as well as the measure of angle B. Okay. And if I go and write in here, if this is angle C, this is little c. This is angle A, this is little a. And if this is angle B, this is little b. So again, we have side angle side. And if we wanted to go back and look at those rules right here, you have this on your cheat sheet, but it tells us to use the law of cosines to find our third side, okay? If we look here, the side we are looking for is C, which happened to be what we were looking for last time. So on your cheat sheet again, you guys have this, and we're looking for C again. Just happened to be that way. You're gonna, in your assignment, maybe have to find A or B, but we're gonna find C again using this formula. So I'm gonna go back to, I keep doing the wrong thing, to here, and we are gonna find C. So I am gonna say C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of C, okay? C is what I'm looking for. A is 7 squared. B is 10 squared minus 2 times 7 times 10 cosine of angle C, which is 73. So all I did there is substitute in what we know. And now I'm going to go to my calculator and I am going to type this in. Okay, so if I do that, I am going to type in 7 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 7 times 10 cosine of 73. Now, that is C squared. Okay, so if we go back to our notes, our C squared is 108.068 is what I rounded it to. What do I do then to get C? Find the square root. Very good. All right. So if I do that here, I could do that by going second x squared to get the square root. And then to pull this down, I can go second answer. And that will give me the most accurate answer, which I would round this to 10.40. Okay. So if I go back, this is going to be 10.40, which I can put here as well as here. Okay. Now again, I have rules of which order I have to do this in. So if I go back, we just found our third side. And now what we have to do is find the smallest of the two angles are left using the law of sines. Okay, so I have an angle A that is across from a side that's 7, and I have an angle B that is across from a side that's 10. 7 is less than 10, so that means I'm going to find angle A first. Okay, and to do that, I'm going to use law of sines. To do law of sines, like we did last week, we need to know an angle and its opposite side, which we know sine of C over little c. Okay, and we just talked about how we're going to find A first because it's opposite a smaller side than what B is. So I'm going to let this equal sine of A over little a. Now if I substitute in, I have sine angle C is 73, little c is 10.4, sine of A is what I'm looking for. And little a is 7. Then what I do is cross product. So I multiply these two, which is 7 times sine of 73 equals these two multiplied, which is 10.4 sine of A. And these are like multiplied. So the first thing I have to do is get rid of this 10.4. How do I do that? Divide by 10.4. These are gone, and I get sine of A equals, and then now I'm going to type this into my calculator, and I want to hit enter after 7 sine 73. Okay? So what I'm going to do is go 7 sine of 73, enter, divided by 10.4. Now, I would hope when you guys are doing this that you realize that this would not be an angle. An angle would be something over 1, probably even over 2 or 3. You usually wouldn't have that small of an angle. And then it would be less than 89. So somewhere in that range. So what we have right there is actually the sine of our angle, which is 0.6437. And what do we do if that's the sine of our angle? How do we get the sine? Second sine. So if we go here, we're going to go second sine, and I'm going to pull that answer down by going second negative. Get that answer. Does this look more like an angle than that does? Hopefully it does for you. So this would be 40.07 degrees. So the measure of angle A is 40.07 degrees. And that goes. Now, we know 2 of our angles. Okay, to find the third angle, you can just add these 2 together and subtract from 180. Okay, so what we can do now is go 40.07 plus 73 is 113.07, and then you would subtract that from 180. And we will get 66.93 degrees. And that is the measure of angle B. So we can go back up here, and that would go right here. So this would be our answer. Is that super hard today? Okay. All right, so your assignment then is right here. You have 5 problems. And here is the worksheet. So like I said, we'll spend 2 more days on this section. So keep these notes, but that worksheet you can hand in today.